Okay, and because I had issues last time, I'm going to use the first couple minutes here to make sure everything is working properly on the YouTube side, and then I'll trim that off. I'll record the regular video. I'll trim that off in post-production. Okay. Let me mute everything so I'm not hearing myself back from YouTube itself. And I think now you are hearing, you are hearing, you are hearing what I am hearing. And that is, so I'll share my screen in a minute, but I tried this setup the other day and it was extremely difficult and it was not working properly through the beginning of the stream. So that kind of wrecked the video. So I thought I'd record again. What I'm doing right now is just setting this up, making sure we're fine. And then I'll record the video and we'll chop off this beginning piece. And I'll start it here in a second for the actual video I want to record. And this will probably be the actual video because this is a live, it's a demo of doing something live, which is removing noise. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do that. I think I can't see the viewer count inside StreamYard, which you can see that's what I'm using to make this stream. I wish we could tell if there are people in the chat. We could watch the YouTube chat, but that doesn't help with that doesn't help with me switching and all that good stuff. So if I'm talking funny, there is a little bit of latency because I'm listening to what you're listening to. So my voice has to come back, and that's a little difficult. StreamYard, that latency. StreamYard should tell me how many people are watching. So let me see if I can actually get it to say that. Well, I don't see it right now, so no big deal. All right, what do we call this? Reducing background noise live? Okay. All right, my wife just broke in. Of course, if you start a live stream, your kids, significant other, roommate, someone's going to just jump in. I don't have a sign outside that says recording. She made this lovely drink. I don't know. That's a lemon from my yard. Wow, that's very lemony. All right, so that was very nice. But I'm going to try to get this video recorded. I see. Oh, all right, 6 people. Let's do this. Okay, let's reduce background noise on a live stream in real time. So what am I talking about? I have the iZtotope voice denoise plugin, and it is running right now, but I don't have it active. And I'll show you how I have the vocal chain set up and how we're going to do that. But I have a heater next to me. And so you may be live streaming or you may be recording something and it might be very cold or very hot. And so you have HVAC running. So let's turn that on and you should be able to hear this. Oh, you probably do need headphones to hear the real difference between having the heater on and having it off. Okay, let me share my screen here. This is what you're seeing in a second is Audio Hijack, and I have to show my entire screen in order for you to see that, in order for you to see the plugin working. So you're going to see this double view of my browser, and you're going to see the actual plugin running. So you can see it's running, but it is off. So I say running. It's in the vocal chain here. So I have Rodecaster. I just have some meters here for me to see. Here's the RX. And in my case, it's the 6th version. I don't even know what they're on anymore. It's on sale. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this. It's on sale right now. If it's something you're interested in, if you need voice denoising for your post-production or for live like we're doing. But most people have no idea that you can run this as a plugin in your vocal chain live and have it reduce noise. So right now you're just hearing my studio, and when I'm quiet, latency's really getting to me. It's pretty quiet in here, although it's like 60-mile-an-hour winds tonight. So you might hear sticks and leaves and everything blowing up against my door. But this is the normal sound of my studio, no noise reduction. And I'm going to actually turn this on. We'll turn it on now. You can see that it's not dark. You can see that it's running. And when I'm quiet, you can see the noise floor. The highest part of that noise floor, if you look at that white line that's bouncing around, that's around 60 dB. That's basically the storm outside and just the ambience of my room. But turn on the heater, headphones. All right, so now maybe, and my voice could be covering it, you should be hearing the heater blowing into the microphone. Turn that off. You can see the white line goes up. So the noise floor, that white line is the noise floor, but I have no reduction on the plugin yet. So as you listen to the noise floor, I'm going to bring up the plugin, and the noise that you're hearing, the background hiss, should go away in real time. So take a listen. And there you go. I didn't mute. That is real time. So the RX6 or the RX voice denoise plugin is running. The heater's still on. And this plugin is just removing that background noise in real time. So I can just keep this running. The heater is on. I'm nice and warm. It's probably going to get too hot because it is right next to me. But you can see that the white line now has another white line, and they're spread apart, right? So the more I reduce that, the more reduction I use, the more you'll see that bottom white line, right, separate from the top white line, because the top is the noise floor. The bottom white line and the gray in the middle is how much we're reducing it. So I'll bring it back down, or I'll just turn it off. All right, now I'm talking with the heater on. It's like, what is that? Is that preamp noise? Is it a heater on? Is it a fan? Same thing. What is that noise in the background? Doesn't matter. Now it's gone. It does sound like I mute the microphone, but I'm talking and my voice is now above the noise floor, but I think it's not like a noise gate. A noise gate, when I'm quiet, would just drop out the noise like this. But when I talk, that noise floor would be under my voice. I'm not really hearing the noise at all, even when I talk. And you say, oh, well, your voice is above it, so you don't hear it. That's not it. It is taking that noise profile and reducing it. So even when I'm talking, the noise is pretty much gone. So very cool. You can do that in real time. If you're interested, the link is in the description of this video. iZtope's having like a 60% off sale, and you can get in at the Elements bundle, which I think is like $50 right now. So every time, like once a year, I kind of wait for this sale when I was getting into the system, the iZtope system, and I would just wait until they had the big sale. So I waited the first time, got in on Elements, then I waited another year for it to come back around, and I went up to the standard. And the standard probably doesn't have a lot more that I use than what's in Elements. So you can get the voice denoise in the Elements pack a lot more affordable. So check out the link. You may use something else. I actually use what else do I use? I use Acusonus, but they're a subscription service now, so I don't like that as much, but it's really good. And I have one more demo of something new I'm trying that works incredible. But I'm going to save that for a demo for an upcoming video. So subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'm making more videos on this channel again. So we also have a new microphone coming pretty soon. So we'll check out all that stuff, but we're removing background noise live. Hope that's interesting. Even if it's not something that you want to buy, a lot of people have this plugin and they didn't even realize that it could do that. So that's very cool. And there's a couple different use cases for it. I use this in post-production all the time, probably on every production. I do a lot of podcast production and video production, and most of it is dialogue. And so almost any place you record in is going to have some kind of noise floor, especially since you're rarely ever recording in $1 million studios. And so that's when I'm, as a final pass, going to just remove out a little bit of that noise floor. And I would say that noise floor is probably the best way I use this, right? If you have traffic or you have very specific frequencies, I don't know that it's as good. You can reduce that, but it's like, hey, I want to take out that cat meowing in the background. That's different, right? That's more of like a surgical removal of a specific sound. This is more about like making you sound like you're in a really expensive studio where no noise is getting in, soundproofing, right? So most studios, we talk about reverb reduction, and that is very different than soundproofing. Soundproofing is usually like a room inside of a room. That's not happening that much outside of $1 million studios. So most of us record at home. We're live streaming from home. We're going to have some type of background noise, and this can do it. I have some poker chips here that I shuffle constantly on my desk, and I don't think it'll really remove that, but I'm going to be quiet and shuffle the chips. I'll show you what it's like when it's not on. Loud. Let's turn it on. So see, you can hear that noise. That's a actual, like something in your background making a very deliberate noise, not like a noise floor. So it's always like careful what you say, because people say, oh, remove the background noise. It'll get rid of like sirens or something, or that's what people think. And that's not necessarily, that's definitely not how I use it. So I use it like this. The heater is on, the HVAC is on, whatever you have that's sort of a constant broadband, like across the frequency spectrum. Hiss is the big one. You might have cheaper audio gear, or maybe you're using like an SM7B and you're going into an audio interface where when you crank the gain up for the SM7B, you have some of that hiss, right? So this can reduce hiss of that kind. Obviously, I'd rather at that point, I don't know that I'd buy the plugin for that. I would probably buy something like a preamp that would just take that out from the beginning. The key is to record it as well as possible, and then you get a lot better results from your noise removal, right? Less of that noise removal you have to do. That is absolutely the key. Record it really well. All right, well, if you have any other questions, that's the video. Check out the link in the description. If you're interested in the sale, I wouldn't get it without the sale. Definitely buy the sale. I think it's probably like all of this month, I hope. But if it was me and the sale wasn't on, I would just wait, because I will say the sale happens every year. So reliably, since I've had it, and I've probably had it for, over 5 years easily. So check that out. Let me see if there's any comments. All right. So a few of you here watching, no chatter. Last time we did this, we had a ton of people that have been around forever. It's like all the OG podcasting people. I don't see them tonight, but and if you're interested, this piece of software that I'm using, this is how I'm getting so you can hear the plugin in real time, right? Because it's like, how do you put the plugin, this right here, into the vocal chain for live streaming? So that is the other trick, careful not to just buy it and think you can just use it, because you don't use it with like your audio interface. You can see I have the Rodecaster and I'm not even using it in line with the Rodecaster. It doesn't plug into the Rodecaster. So you do have to have some type of system that you are routing your audio through to the live stream so you can insert plugins. This is the iZtotope stuff, our plugins. They're AU, whatever, a audio unit plugins on the Mac, which is what I'm on. And they are like VST on Windows. It goes to pretty much Linux, Windows. What's up, Gideon? Gideon? I hope I'm saying that right. And so yeah, that it's not simple to run this stuff live, and you're better off obviously just having like a nice setup. On the Rodecaster, I turned off the noise gate for the demo, but I would normally run the noise gate, and on top of having a nice, this place to record in, and it's relatively quiet even with a storm outside. um I don't need to run this plugin real time. But if I did want to run the heater, and I will say I've live streamed plenty of times, and I don't know why I didn't do this. And I just turned the air conditioner like really far up, like in the summer, because where I'm at, it gets over 100. So in the summer, I'll crank the air for like an hour before I live stream. And then when you go live, you just shut it off and coast. But by the end of it, it gets pretty sweaty, and that's not comfortable. So what's up, Zach? I could just run this real time. It's probably because it's a setup issue. I'm streaming today. I went and set up, I think I actually set up permanently my Sony mirrorless camera. I have an old 6500. That's what you're seeing. I wish it was coming through as sharp as I'm seeing it inside StreamYard, but it's not. But it still looks good. You get a shallow depth of field, a little crispier than my webcam comes through. And I think ultimately, I think it could be better. I think it's a USB issue with my iMac. I've had this iMac since like 2017. So it's been really frustrating process, but I have the Sony mirrorless. I permanently mounted today, which is something I've meant to do for a long time. Permanently mounted. I moved the key light over here, which is a big aperture light, and then another little light for some fill. Check out Instagram/podcast helper. I'll put up an image of this setup, but I've moved some things into place so I can just turn all this on and do a live stream like this more often, as I would love to do this more often. And, oftentimes it's the setup that stops people because there's so much. And the webcam looks fine, especially if you light it well. I have a newer, like 4K webcam. I think it's 4K. It's really nice. I think it has a Zeiss lens. It's an Elgato. Yeah, Elgato does all the Stream Deck and all that stuff. And um, it's just, it's a little mushier than a nice Sony mirrorless or any DSLR mirrorless solution. But, with that, the newer Sony mirrorless, you can plug in via USB, but I'm still back on the 6500. So I have HDMI, like mini HDMI to regular HDMI to a cam link, all of these things to make it work. What I am surprised at is that the audio doesn't seem to have a latency issue, because the SM7B you see is coming through the Rodecaster. Let me stop sharing this because it's annoying seeing a screen within a screen. But I have the SM7B going in through the Rodecaster, which is going into Audio Hijack, which is running my plugins so that you are getting this cleaner version with the plugin that's running real time. And I can hear all of it, what you're hearing in my headphones. So slight bit of latency in what I'm hearing. So I'm dealing with that right now, talking and then hearing myself right behind it. But usually when you have a mirrorless camera like that coming in through HDMI and then a USB microphone, obviously this is not a USB microphone, but it turns into one when you go into audio interface. And maybe that's it. Maybe because it's XLR and still is translating to USB through the A to D conversion. And so is the camera. Camera usually takes longer. So the voice is ahead and you have to apply a delay. In Audio Hijack, I can set a delay, but I don't think I need to. I did like a solid hour of testing before I ran this one. All right, so here we go. We can put this up on the screen. What's up, Zach? Zach says we're totally in sync. That's awesome. I'll try not to sing in sync songs. But here we go. Maybe tell us what you've been up to. Miss you, man. Hey, Zach, thank you so much for saying you miss me. I released a video last month, I believe, which was the is a Sony condenser microphone. Check out that video. It's a condenser microphone that goes into a wireless system for cameras. I had never seen that set up before. So I did that. I signed an NDA. So I have a microphone coming that I can't talk about yet, but there will be signing an NDA, assuming that the piece of gear is good, basically puts me on the hook for a video because I'm going to do a video about that. So I can't procrastinate. The last couple years, yeah, you see the trend of I'm leaving YouTube. I didn't leave YouTube. I took a break. So I'm a full on believer of I'm not doing the grind. I'm lucky enough that this is not my income. I have a full-time job doing mostly post production, but I do a lot of production and post production. And I get paid to do that. So I make videos when I see a piece of gear I want to review and do monetize through YouTube. So that's like golf and beer money, basically. But the audience, like over the years, have built up such a cool audience that I definitely don't want to stop like permanently. So trying to get back in. That's what I've been up to. A lot of personal stuff going on. So it's like, you know what? Just take a break and reconfigure. And so now, like I said, I've set up things a little bit more permanently. It's not like it looks more like a YouTuber live stream podcast studio in here because I've got light stands in front of my desk. I got, giant poles with cameras mounted to them. So this space is my combination man cave, combination studio. That's where I chill out after work, but I also work here. So it's my office. It's the YouTube content creation place. It's a kick back and watch shows, movies. It's an everything space. So I try not to have it all sort of set up and in the way, but I've tried to maximize that by tucking in the light like really close to the desk and out of the way. It's not a huge space. It's a big space for an office. I converted my garage. My garage is like a one car garage for like a horse and carriage. My house is so old. My house was built in the 30s, 1930s. We're not to the 2030s yet. So I could still just say the 30s. So it's not like a modern garage. Could you put a real car in here? Yeah, it depends on the car. My truck would probably not fit in here lengthwise. Maybe. Yeah, it would fit just barely. Special. That's pretty good. My wife made a cocktail out of lemons from our tree. Sounds completely domestic, but it is very much it was a surprise. It's not a thing we normally do. So it's the part of the stream that I'm going to cut off later. So ask your questions, ask the Q&A. Let's do it. I'll cut this off later so it won't bore everybody. But It's the part of the stream where we enjoy a cocktail. Zach, I think you're the only one left, so you get all your questions answered. Let's see. Very cool. Always liked you, man. I like you too, Zach. Very pro, and you're a great communicator. That's what a compliment, man. So I was just telling a friend today. I ran into a friend at coffee. He knows me, I kind of as a YouTuber. So he's always like, "Hey, when's a video coming out?" And I was talking to him today. He's wanted to dip his foot into YouTube, but it's a lot, right? And obviously, I would say just make videos. No one's watching in the beginning. It's possible someone could watch your first video because it just hits the target audience. And now that all of these like hosting sites, whether it's social, Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube, they're all doing the same thing. They're leaning towards showing content that more algorithm based. If you're going to like this, it'll show it to you. Doesn't matter that you have like no subs. If the content's right, it should show it to the people who want to get it, right? So that's cool. I mean, it makes building subscribers a little less relevant because they don't show it as much to subscribers. So it's a real sort of give and take. But that's Zach, you reminded me your comment, which I greatly appreciate because growing up through high school and college, I worked in grocery stores. And part of that time, I was a cashier. And so I was telling him how he was complaining about the cashiers taking so long. And I said, "Oh, people used to come. My content strategy comes directly from my experience working in grocery. And people used to come through my line and say, you know why I go through your line? I don't know, shortest line. Not always. It wasn't always the shortest line. They'd say, "You get me out of here. Like, you're nice and you get me out of here." And that was, I'm not a big small talk person. Be nice. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. But let's go. People are coming home from work. Grocery store's not a place I want to hang out. I don't need to ask your life story and vice versa. So people come through my line specifically for that kind of service. And when I started making content, I tried to apply that because that's what I like. And I had had early feedback in real life that people like that. So I try, and I get these comments on the videos sometimes when I succeed at showing you the thing, giving you information, be nice and get you out, get on the way, right? Because a lot of the stuff I'm doing it's not entertainment, it is information. So try to present that as quick as possible. That's why I'm going to take this live stream and I will cut off the beginning where I was making sure that the tech worked. I'll cut off this in where we're just hanging and we're talking audio, video, and I'm having it's very pretty. It's very pretty on the stream. And so yeah, to the point. So I appreciate Zach. I take that comment and hold it very dear because it's what I'm trying to accomplish. So a couple people jumped in late. I turned the heater off. There's a heater right here. Let me show you. I'll do this again. And let me show my screen. I have to show the whole screen. And we have no background noise except the storm that's outside. I have no noise gate on the Rodecaster, which is what you're seeing here. So here's my input. This is the vocal chain. You have the Rodecaster Pro. There we go. I can highlight it and you can see it. And these are just some peak meters, which I love the way it looks when I bring this up. This is Audio Hijack Pro, very old software. They keep updating it. It's modern as heck. Absolutely love it. What is this for? Like it's for grabbing audio that's all across different sources on your computer, combining them into what you see here, which are like these little, I forget what these are called, but these little hubs. And you can move this stuff around any way you want and basically route audio places. So in this noise removal plugin, you can see I've got it running right there. That's the RX linked in the description. That's the voice denoise. The Elements pack has a little bit more than just the voice denoise, but that is the primary reason I purchased it so many years ago. And that's the primary thing. And that's what I'm showing here, right? So no noise floor, When I turn it on, I've got 14 dB of reduction here. So let me bring that all the way down. So you'll see there's no reduction. We have just that white line bouncing. That's my voice. When I'm quiet, it's the noise floor. Let's see what that's at. It's bouncing on the low end, around 60 dB because mine is 60 dB because my iMac is, I just heard the fans kick up in my headphones. Those are thumbnail shots. I already made the thumbnail for this last night when I tried to do this stream and it failed. So I pulled it down. It's going to be successful tonight, I think. I hope so. But we're showing you again what's going on. So that is the noise floor, and I have no reduction. That's why it's a very thin white line, and the heater is off. So I'm going to turn the heater on. You should hear it. You probably need headphones to hear the heater, the difference of a really like hissy background noise floor. And you'll see as I reduce, actually I could do it here. You can see the other white line. That's the amount of reduction. So the difference between the top white and all the gray in the middle and the bright white light on the bottom, that's the difference between the noise floor and the reduction. Honestly, I'm about 11. Yeah, 110. If I look at the high end frequency and I look how that's separated, that's about 11 dB reduction. So that's what it's showing. It doesn't matter. You get it through your ears is the key. So I'll turn off the noise reduction. Let's turn on the heater. I'll let you hear that. Here's the noise floor with the heater on, which is something you probably want to have on either summer or winter when you're live streaming. Let's turn on. All right, so I'm talking, noise floor is still there. I'm gonna be quiet, listen for the heater that's on. Hopefully you can hear it. Hopefully I have the headphones on. And then I'll slide up the reduction, and in real time, we'll just make it go away. Awesome. And Zach's got monitors and can hear it. There you go. It's gone. The heater is still on. I didn't touch it. The plugin is running in real time through Audio Hijack here. I've got 14 dB, 14.8 dB of reduction, and you're hearing, and it's not a noise gate. It is removing that noise from the frequency spectrum. You can see the threshold is the blue line. And you can see the noise reduction and the noise floor. Let's turn it off. Very noisy. In the winter, I want to sit right next to this fan when it's on, this heater. And then I can do that if I'm doing a live stream. Just insert the plugin into whatever audio routing software you're using. That's a big caveat because you can't just turn it on and then have it work in your live stream. You have to send your audio. It's like a digital mixer. You have to send it into some type of mix that lets you insert AU or VST plugins. And that's what Audio Hijack Pro, which is a Mac plugin. I think the old one for Windows is virtual audio cables, which may still work. And there was another one, had like a banana in the name or something. I haven't looked in forever. But there's all kinds of different ways to use plugins and send that audio out. On a Mac, I even have to use something called Soundflower, which is what you're seeing here. So all of my audio goes in here. We have the Rodecaster, which is this microphone. We've got the plugin, which is off. And here it's going to the Rodecaster so I can hear what you're hearing, but you're hearing Soundflower channel 2. So it lets me send it to another source so that StreamYard, all of this is difficult. So StreamYard can hear all the basically digital mix that I have here. So if you're hearing that background noise, let's turn on the plugin. There's the vocal denoise. Check it out. It's in the description. And I use this in post-production. Actually, I use it in post-production every day. I use a couple different ones. I use this. I find that each one does something different. Like is more effective on different noise floors, even when a noise floor is hissy. So like the hiss can be, might not reduce or affect the voice as much, one plugin with a certain background noise than the other one does. So I try them. I try them all, but I find that RX does better when the voice. It does great at loud, hissy background noise, but also really low level stuff. Where the Acusonus one that I use, um, it doesn't seem to be as good when the noise floor is just a little bit. And it's a one knob solution. This is basically a one knob solution because I'm just using a slider, right? I'm actually going to turn the heater off because it is getting warm. I have a jacket on. I've got the heater on, headphones, which are earmuffs, and I'm live streaming. These lights are on. They're bright, but they're not hot because they're LED lights. Oh, let's see. What's up, VJ? I'm going to take this screen share off. The technology has come a long way. They used to make you sound very robotic. Yes, so that is like, that's key, right? Noise reduction used to just sort of get into your voice. And so the iZtope, what I'm using today, the vocal denoise, that was the first time where I started to hear plugins, noise reducing plugins, that you could push them up pretty high. You saw I pushed that up to 14.8. I could crank it up. And I've done like cranked up to 17 dB of reduction and done a double. Like sometimes I do 2 passes, not live, but in post-production. And it's not really affecting my voice. So yeah, so it's not on right now. I'll turn it on and I'm doing 14. All right, so there we go. It's very clean now. Now we're in a million dollar studio. Let me turn it off. Yeah, and that my noise floor is so low. There is like a fan in this light, the key light, and there's a massive storm outside. So if you have headphones on, you might be able to hear that. Anyone listening any other way is probably not hearing it without being cranked up really loud. But even in this case, sometimes you don't notice it. You're like, oh, there's a noise floor, but you're hearing my voice primarily. You don't notice it until I turn on noise reduction, which I'm going to do right now. And I don't need 14.8 dB of reduction right now, but let's turn it on. So there we turned it on. So voice changes a little bit. It tends to get a little muddy, and then I could just insert an EQ, drag down some of that low end frequency information, probably around like 200, under 200, 100, 110 for my voice to 250, notch out a little bit there. And I like to remove instead of add. So I don't want to add like high end EQ because that makes sibilance worse, right? That 4K, 6K, 8K, where people pump that up and it adds sparkle, brightness. It also makes the S's crisp and painful. So try to reduce before you boost. Did I just make a t-shirt? But anyways, the vocal reduction is running right now. I'm going to take it all the way off. So there, I can hear a little bit of the Mac fan, a little bit of the light fan, and I'm going to come up until I don't hear those things. Yeah, I think I hear a little bit, but now I'm at 7, and a little bit more of the high end of my voice is coming through than when I was up at like 14 dB of reduction. But if you're starting from this place, right? So in post-production, all of your audio is going to be noise reduced. They're not going to have it on and off, even a live stream. If I start the live stream with this amount of noise reduction, or even the 14 dB that I had before, you're never going to know it. Like when you start from a place of quiet, this is what my voice sounds like. So it's fantastic. Most people don't realize you can run it in real time. And that's it. That's the demo I wanted to show. Running live, because a lot of people have the plugin and they didn't even know it could be run real time. So it's very cool. If you have any questions, feel free to ask those. I don't have any more to show. I do have a lot more to show. On Instagram, I don't post a ton these days. I don't post a ton anywhere these days, but I just posted a thing about balancing audio in post production. Live, that's obviously a much different thing. And we could run some meters, but I'll do a live stream about the thing I posted on Instagram a couple days ago. I don't think it's there anymore because it was in stories. I should make it a highlight so that it's always there. And some of my highlights, they are saved there. They're like little tutorials. But I was showing some post production images of a balancing software that I use after things are recorded, because the number one place I see podcasts fall down. So podcasts will get like great audio. They got two hosts, they have SM7Bs, they've got a cloud lifter going into, a Scarlett, very clean. Maybe they even do like a checkerboard edit, which is something I always do, which is removing this person who's not speaking. So, you don't have two open mics in a room. Sounds much more presence, gives you that professional studio sound. And then they fall down in one spot. Where is it? They don't balance the audio. So there are two different ways. Now I'm just burning future content, but there are two different ways you need to balance the audio. That is the first way, which is balancing the audio for the person speaking, me. I may get a little soft, and then I get super excited. In a podcast, you're going to go from, it's going to fluctuate, right? You're going to have dynamic vocals. And you don't want that for the listener. Obviously, I'm not saying like there's audio dramas and man, this is where we get quiet. Okay, that's a different story. But even that has to be heard above the other stuff you're doing. The key is that people listening in a car, they're listening, with even headphones on a bus, a lot of background noise. And so if your voice is too dynamic, they're going to have to turn it up and down. And that's terrible. And so I see it's like even productions that have done a great job at getting great sounding audio, a lot of them fall down here. And then the second is balancing it with the other person, other two people, other three people, whatever it is, even if it's just two people. Because you'll as a listener, you'll dial it, the host will start, you'll dial it in. You're like, yep, I can hear that. I'm in my car, the road noise. I can hear everything they're saying. I got to turn up a little louder than normal. And then the other person comes on and you're like, nope, it's not the same as that first person, which I set my levels for. And so that's super frustrating. And if you're production, you should be balancing your audio. It's kind of like not spell checking your tweet or something. I don't know. Drives me crazy when people clearly don't reread the stuff they're going to put out and they're only typed. It's a tweet. So like how many characters is it? Not that many. So I'll do a live stream. So the fun part, so this one is unique. This one's unique because how's the autofocus working? Let's do this. You're like, what is that? It's a poker chip. It's a really weird one. I like to shuffle poker chips while I'm sitting here working. These are just some ceramic chips I bought. And anyways, autofocus working okay. I usually wouldn't do autofocus, but if I want to show something to the camera like that, like this beautiful drink that my wife made, woo, it's bright. It's bright. It's almost blown out too much. The lemon is too reflective. I remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, this one is very unique because this demo is something that needs to be done live. We're doing live background noise removal. So we did that. And the final video will probably just be the live recording. Now I'm going to chop off all of this part, all of the beginning where I was setting it up. So it's a nice, tight, finished video. But like right now, I'm not getting the resolution I would get if I was recording this on my camera. I'm using the same camera that I would record on or record on, which is the Sony A6500 at 4K, and it would look like what I'm seeing in the preview in StreamYard. What you're seeing is softer. It's definitely softer. It's not It's not as crisp. And I think that's actually a USB issue on my Mac. It better be because I've done other live streams. So it is happy hour, VJ. 100%. My wife came in. Of course, I started streaming, just get going, and she comes through. It's like she's being super nice. She made me a drink off of these lemons are from my tree. So that's pretty Meyer lemons. Very cool. So yes, it is happy hour. It's Sunday evening. I'm on the West Coast. We're going through a massive storm here. So you may hear that in the background. I'm running the noise reduction, so you probably don't hear all the wind and sticks and leaves and everything blowing around outside my studio. But what I was saying is this unique video, I won't re-record as basically a better resolution video, and I bring in B-roll of the systems I'm using. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that as well. But I'll chop that off and leave the live. However, my plan is to live stream future videos I'm going to make, maybe before the video. The question is, do you live stream and then leave that live stream up if you're planning to produce a higher quality version of that content? So the balancing audio, I got to take my hand away from my face because the focus was starting to get weird. If you balance it, the balance audio one, I'll live stream that. I'll show it in real time. I'll talk about it. And I usually post it on something like Instagram. But then I want to make a high quality tutorial here on YouTube that lives as a YouTube video, a higher quality version. So I probably just live stream it because I'm not burning any content that way. And I probably won't keep that video live. Maybe the Q&A part. So if I start to get enough people show up and there's good Q&A on that thing, kind of like a live comment section, maybe I'll leave that part and then link to it in the finished video. I don't know. No strategy. I'm just trying not to burn content, steal content from myself, I guess. But in this case, because we were running a plugin live, like I'm doing right now, the voice denoise plugin is running right now. It's a live demo. Most things I do don't pertain to live, so I don't, live streaming them and then making a regular YouTube video will be just fine. So I'm going to try that out. More live streams is what I'm saying, because the setup is here. The camera got mounted permanently today. If I had my phone in StreamYard as another camera, I bet I can do that. I could show you what I'm seeing. So future setups. Oh, look at this, it says extra camera. Hold on. I do have a webcam over there. Let's see what extra. Here, actually, let me do this. I will show you what I'm seeing. Let's go to share screen. Let's just share the entire screen. I also I'm on a Mac. So if you go into terminal, you'll see I have no icons on my background. My desktop definitely does not look like that. That is my to-do list. There are icons everywhere. But in the terminal, you can type in a command. It just removes all the icons. Why I love Mac. And then I'll bring them all back. And you do that with a terminal command to make them all go away. So that looks very clean right now. And anyways, let's see if I present and then it says extra camera. I got to upgrade. The duck in the corner tells you I am not on premium StreamYard. I love StreamYard, by the way. I don't do enough to buy premium. This would be one reason. So see what you get by upgrading. What is the extra camera? Oh, here we go. $39 a month. I'm not paying that. $15 a month is very hard unless you're doing this all the time. So the beauty of StreamYard is there's a free version which lets me do local recordings 2 hours a month. if you're doing a podcast, you're probably not doing much more than 2 hours a month, anyways. You get the logo in your streams. At work, we have the professional version. Actually, I might have just have starter. I don't remember. Um, 6 on-screen participants. Anyways, the free version's great. I'm using it now. Oh, here's the difference. What I'm using now is showing 1080p. So the free version's only 720, and I pressed the 7-day trial so that I could do this in 1080. So that's ultimately why like I would probably buy it. But 15 a month is a lot. So I better be doing a few live streams a month. Yeah, I would say 3 live streams. And eventually, you can monetize live streams. You can turn on super chats. There are different ways in YouTube to monetize. I have no idea if any of that's on right now. But if I'm doing something in the future, that would be a good idea. And so, if you get live streams and you build an audience, it can pay for itself. And let's see, what's multi-stream three destinations? That's cool. And we can do like to social or something. I want to see what that extra cam. I don't see it. Extra camera looks like it might only be in the professional. That's a bummer. Share a second camera. Yeah, but how you would need. So in this case of using a mirrorless camera, I would have to have multiple HDMI sources, which is, I have that gear at work. I don't have it personally, so I can't use it on my own stuff. But I do have the webcam, so I'd be curious. It's too bad when they gave me the upgrade here for 7 days that I couldn't try it. I don't see extra camera in the 15 a month, so that would not be a reason to upgrade. I can't imagine paying $39 a month unless I was truly making money from it. Oh man, look, full 1080p might only be in the 39 a month. All right, well, I might not be upgrading. But I absolutely love StreamYard. I've been using it forever. I have an old podcast, Podcasters Roundtable. It's not currently in production, but I've used the free version of that for the entire life of the podcast. And there are other things like, well, at work, I have a license for Riverside, but StreamYard is the easiest. It works on more browsers, and it seems to optimize better for low bandwidth connections, people that aren't on a connection that's as good. So I really love StreamYard. Not sponsored. It should be. So if I dig deeper into this channel again and want to get some sponsors, 2 sponsors I think I would go for. And I will try to share what that means, because how do you know? How do you know what is fair from a sponsor? How do you know how much to ask for? What are you asking for? What are you getting? So that would be good information to share if I went that direction. StreamYard, and a brand new thing that I'm using is called Opus Clip, which is AI. I could drop the URL to this YouTube stream, and it would chop it up into what it thinks, according to AI, is like interesting clips for promotion, basically, but it's also content, right? For shorts. I don't feel like it does as well. It does great for podcasts, multiple speakers. So I'm enjoying it for that. That's one I'd probably want. You're totally incorrect. What is this? I should read these before I put them up, but I don't care. This is going to get chopped out anyways. You're totally incorrect about grocery stores. This is why so many people despise self-checkout. They actually want to talk to a person. So again, first of all, not everybody. It was a rare occasion when someone gave me kind of feedback like that. Second of all, I did say that I like to be nice. So I'm definitely going to ask you how you are. It's just you've been in a line where like the person is just like going slow. They're just in the conversation. The other person checking out doesn't care. They want to tell life story. And you're like, man, I'm trying to go home. So it was definitely a combination of And there are checkers for that. If that's what you're there for, if that's where you get your social interaction, you know who to go and talk to and have that long conversation with. The person behind you didn't know what they were getting into. So that's a bummer for them. But for me, it was definitely a combination of being nice, getting your conversation in while checking really fast, and getting out. So, yes, I agree. And as a checker, I fully remember people who want to come in and have a conversation. I'll have the conversation with you. I'm just not going to slow down. So, yes, we could totally have a great conversation. And obviously, it depends on the size of your order, right? If you have a huge order, you can get a full conversation out of that. I love that. It does tell me you've been here for a while because you heard that part of the conversation. So I do love we're talking about grocery instead of tech. That was such a good job, and I hope to never go back there. But it was a great job for anyone, really, but definitely working through high school and college because they worked around my school schedule. So it was very cool. Any All right, I had a cocktail check-in since this is not a normal thing. My wife she wanted to make sure that I was going to drink it because otherwise she went through the effort to make it. She'll take it. But also, how was it? It's really good. I don't even know what this is. It's like some type of lemon drop. I mean, I haven't had very much of it, but these are Meyer lemons from my yard. When you have, I want to plant. Let's just transition. It's grocery related. It's definitely not tech related. I think we're getting into like fruit tree planting season. I want to get an apple tree. But I also learned from my neighbor, I have a backyard. There are three fences, two sides and a back. That's typically where the landscaping goes in terms of like trees and bushes and all that kind of stuff. And I put a pear tree up against one, and the lemon tree does hang over the fences, but it's high up, so it's not a problem. But he said, just don't plant it on the squirrel highway. I was like, what? The squirrel highway? What is that? It's the fence. The squirrels go along the fence line and eat the fruit. I was like, oh, it's great advice. I don't have anywhere else to put it, but but I thought the squirrel highway is great. So what is this? I don't know what Jans is. Jans, you use a switcher of some sort. Is there a Jans in here? I think you're asking me. What's up, Russell? Uh, you're asking about switcher, and I'm wondering if you mean when I'm showing my screen and stuff, or if you caught a piece of that conversation about the multiple cameras. So if you want to do multicam, typically that's a switcher, right? I'm not using a switcher. StreamYard lets you add in multiple cams. So if you had a switcher, if you had a switcher, you wouldn't need their upgrade. This is probably letting you access, I don't know what is letting you access, multiple USB cameras. I don't know. That's why I looked into it. Can't you use a switcher? Yes. So I could. So if you want to invest in, and maybe if I do enough live streams, you do a top down camera. It's like, what other cameras do you need? I might be able to bring my phone. I could bring my phone into this stream as another person. So I could hack it. I could bring this in as another person and just switch to this camera to show you things like I'm seeing. Maybe that's a good live stream to do. That's a good idea. But yes, I have a switcher, the ATEM Mini. I don't know which one I have. Amazing switcher, but it's my work switcher. So I don't use it for this stuff because that's work gear and this is my stuff. They are different. I do not make a living from this. So Yes, you could use a switcher. You wouldn't have to upgrade. You could put all your HDMI, your nice mirrorless camera, DSLRs, whatever you're putting into a switcher, sometimes even USB. Um, Combine them and then switch for sure. Yeah. And I wish I had more desk real estate. It's pretty filled up. Got some studio monitors, Rodecaster, which is big, Stream Deck, webcam, the mirrorless camera, a second monitor, which is a Windows machine, two keyboards, two mice. It's crowded up here, but it'd be cool to show you guys that. But I so rarely do live streams that I don't need a switcher, like to buy one. Now, the ATEMs they're not like prohibitively expensive, but these days, I think like Mackie and definitely like Elgato, everyone's coming out with like a streamer solution, and a lot of these have switchers. They have like capture cards, and I think some of them are like little switchers, like mini ones. I definitely need to do a review of one of those because that would do it. I don't even have two cameras to plug in. That my gear is pretty much old at this point, but and I get in new gear to test, but off most times that gear goes back. So yeah, I think that there's probably like it's so dependent on what you need and your situation, but I think there are definitely affordable options coming on the market every day because more people stream, a lot of gaming stuff, which actually I might have a secret YouTube channel, faceless, that where I do some gaming. Maybe. Let's see. Can't you use a manual switcher for your extra camera? So yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yep. ATEM Mini. I have some tabs open for stuff that was just released. Let me see. Do I still have the tab open? Let me see. What is this stuff? I think I do somewhere. Oh, here. I have 3 different tabs open. So Mackie just came out with a whole suite of things. Supports 2 PC streaming setups. Anyways, Mackie came out with 3 different products. And so I think Elgato's got one. Rode has one. So yeah, there's a lot of options. So yes, you can 100% use a manual switcher for an extra camera. You wouldn't have to upgrade to like a premium StreamYard. It's unfortunate that as much as I love StreamYard, like $40 a month just to get the 1080 that sucks. I would love to see that in the $15 because at 40, you're really, I think, taking away most creators. 15's a stretch for people who aren't making money, right? They just want to create. So Zoom, see? Exactly. Zoom just came out with some new recorders. Everyone all the time. Like it is so hard to even be in this space and do videos because literally someone else, you're like, this solution is great, does all the things I want. And then someone comes out like next month. You're like, well, did you buy the last one? Because this one does one more thing that one does at the same price. So it's tricky to buy gear. I remember when I was buying my Sony a6500, holy cow. Like it was like, there's a new camera coming in 3 months. Sony did release his cameras like there's nothing to it. So, and you're looking for certain features, and clearly I'm buying for the long haul. So it's still my primary YouTube camera, shoots 4K, looks fantastic, good low light, doesn't overheat. And if I was buying today, I would be getting into like the FX30, which is just a souped up version of what I have. I don't think it even looks much better. Fortunately, Sony has been putting amazing sensors and low light tech in their cameras from the early A6000 series. Like the A6700, there's so many. So the beauty is that there's like probably something at a price point that you can get that also future-proof you a lot. 4K is huge future-proof. I mean, 4K was the big deal you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it's still, that's the thing, right? People always worry, oh, but then there's 8K. You're like, nah, you're not producing at that. Like, no one is barely even watching in 4K. If you look at the big numbers of consumption, 1080 is still like the most people are going to watch your YouTube at. But you having 4K lets you rescale, lets you get multiple angles. That's why I love it, right? I'm still going to produce something. Actually, a lot of times I'll put it out in like 2.5K to get a little crop without a loss of resolution. So I think recently I put out stuff in 4K. So these cameras kick butt. USB switcher. Yep. Yeah, they have what are USB switchers. I mean, all this stuff. They have Blackmagic ATEM stuff, ATEM, ATEM. That's like the king for the last, like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That's just USB. And so that stuff's cool. You plug in your HDMI sources, all routes to USB, and then you can switch away. But if you're investing in something like that, what are you doing, right? You're either recording like a live thing where you're going to live switch so that your edit is mostly done, but I almost always am going to want to go back in and edit something. But you can have the edit either done or mostly done, or you're live streaming, right? But those are two very specific things that most people don't do. And if you're live streaming, are you multicam live streaming? Not a lot of people. That's like if someone is running the production, but as a creator, solo creator, you know, some people, yes, the high end, like the biggest YouTuber, but that's kind of the point. At that point, you're making money doing it. If you're doing it for fun, you're really into the gear. Well, then you're going to invest and not make it back, but you're going to enjoy the gear. So I'm all for it. Get the gear that you need first. But if you enjoy gear, obviously I do. So go crazy with whatever you can afford. Rode just bought Mackie. Yeah, that was crazy. I actually, it almost seems like it would be the other way around, right? That Mackie would buy Rode, but Rode is huge. And Rode makes some of my favorite products of the last decade. I'm using the Rodecaster right now, as you saw on the vocal chain when I showed that. And it is the first version, and I'm still using it. The second version has better preamps, but this first version sits on my desk, and I absolutely love it. It's been probably my favorite piece of gear of the last decade, this thing, because I can do all kinds of different routing setups, and it just, every time I think of something that I need to do, I'm doing it on this. And so I do use a FET which is a inline preamp for this microphone, because the Rodecaster, this first version, is not as good on the preamps when you're pushing a microphone like the SM7B. But super clean now, because I already had the FET when I got the Rodecaster, which actually Rode let me have this one for a review. Sure, a review. I've talked about this thing for 10 years, so it's a cool device. Paid $20 for your USB switcher. Awesome. Yep. There's like magic cheap gear out there too. I mean, let the chat know what you have. If you have a $20 switcher that works and still works, drop it in the chat. There are definitely people who'd be interested in that. All right, I should wrap it up. Let's see, it's been 1 hour and 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I'm just babbling, but I'm going to go enjoy my drink, maybe watch a show. This live stream was probably like 2 hours of setting it up before I even went live, but I like this angle. I've got my bass guitar and golf clubs. I don't use it often, but I like the light, which I need to reconnect to my system. It's pink. I like the pink, but it's stuck on pink. We'll probably leave it on pink. I actually like that. Probably helps with my pink, weird red undertones. Great to see you, Zach. Thanks for sticking around. I think you were the first one into the stream. Maybe second. Yeah, I think Gideon, maybe first or second. So thank you so much. I'll try to be here more. I definitely have more to say, more to show, more to demo, more how-tos. And you know, I think YouTube's leaning even more into live streams. I enjoy live because I can just sit here and babble on. Gapes, thank you. This is welcome back. Again, Zach. It's time to check out, Flood. Yep, gotta go. Check out. I didn't ask for late checkout. All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope that's helpful. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments of this video. Once I trim it, I'll put it public. It's already public. So ask them in the comments. There's a link down there if you want to check out the iZtotope sale. And a Hollyland. I keep hearing this brand Hollyland making cheap stuff. Cool. There you go. Oh yeah, small factor wireless mic. Hollyland. They're really coming into the scene. They're the new like Saramonic, Rode, almost, but even cheaper than Rode. So Saramonic, those type of brands. Hollyland is the new one of those. Really cheap, but seems to make good stuff. So the only question is, will they stand the test of time? Can they take the abuse of travel if that's something you're doing? But yeah, definitely a brand to check out because I'm seeing a lot of stuff that seems like it's pretty good coming out of them. So, all right, everybody, I'll see you later. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.